I know that you got opinions, but won't you consider this? Your skin tone oppresses millions, so just quiet down a bit. Come join me in gender studies, come get a useless degree. And when you make garbage money, take no responsibility. Come be PC, come be PC.
Yet another fuss around race. It's either going to be race or gender or sexuality or something. You know, it explodes onto media. Now, this is because they've decided to take the Little Mermaid, Ariel, and replace her with Ariel Black. Now, personally, I couldn't give two tugs of a dead dog's cock about Disney. They ruined Winnie the Pooh, they ruined Star Wars. Yeah, this is to be expected, for them to drive a wrecking ball through everyone's childhood, and to do completely unnecessary remakes of classics. That's Disney's current business model, so it would seem. But as usual on this channel, we're not really going to look at The Little Mermaid per se. We're going to look at the meta-level argument of what's going on. And as per usual, we have divided everybody into two camps. If you approve of the change, you're super woke. If you disapprove of the change, for whatever reason, you're a horrible racist. And that's just the way it goes. Because this is made more interesting, a little more complicated, by the fact that changing or going after Disney princesses in any way tends to tick off the white feminist demographic a great deal, who have been trying to reclaim Disney princesses as some kind of empowering thing since time immemorial. But if we think about this, if we look at other instances that have happened in the past, I think we can see that for the vast majority of people, this is not a racist issue. It's a nerdy purism issue.
Alright, the story is you and your friends went out at night on your bikes to visit your dying mother, and then another bunch of other biker hooligans called the Clowns attacked you. They hurt your friend, you lost your temper, and that's why 8 of these clowns are all now in the hospital.
No time to talk, guys! Evil scientists and wrinkly children in flying chairs are holding our friend Tetsuo captive and performing experiments on him! And the prom's tomorrow!
I'm sure there's going to be a few racists in the mix somewhere, even though the response to the objection seems to be much more widespread, much more powerful, much more numerous than the actual source of the objections. I mean, after all, The Little Mermaid is a really important cultural icon to the Danes, right? They have a statue of her welcoming people to their country. And a certain facet of American neo-fascist really kind of venerates Nordic European culture. So there's bound to be some there. I mean, just as there was in Thor. And that was an objection that I couldn't understand, why they were objecting to Idris Elba being in that as an Asgardian. Because there, we're not really talking about Vikings. We're not really talking about the gods of the ancient Nordic culture. What we're talking about is space Vikings, you know. And there were frankly more insulting versions of Asgardians out there. So that didn't seem to me to make too much sense. Though I could kind of see where they were coming from. I just don't think they really knew. But in this instance, you know, Hans Christian Andersen, The Little Mermaid, Denmark, you know, it's an important cultural artifact. It's an important cultural item, so you can kind of understand why people might be upset. And there's this hypocrisy in it, and I think a total failure to understand where the majority of the objection comes from. When you change a white character to a character of another ethnicity, right, this is seen as progressive and great and good and wonderful and a good thing to do, and no harm, no foul, yeah, and anyone who objects must be racist, right? Do the same in reverse for financial reasons, for Hollywood minimizing risk reasons, you know, or whatever else that might be. then these same people who are defending the change here will attack the change vociferously. If you want a consistent position, if you want to see a consistent position, you have to look at nerds, right? They want things to be true to the source material, whatever the source material might happen to be. They want it to be respectful to the source material. And that has been a recipe for success. Comic book movies only really started taking off and doing well once they properly represented the original material. It is nerds who objected to the whitewashing of Akira. It is nerds who objected to the whitewashing of Ghost in the Shell, right? And while it's a slightly different kind of nerd, being a Disney nerd and a princess fan, yeah, it's the nerds who are objecting to the change here because it's a shift from the original source material. And it's showing a disrespect to a particular culture here, in the same way that recasting, I don't know, a Nancy as a white guy in an animated movie or whatever else would be, or if Mulan had, which is also being remade, had been recast with a white person. That, if that happened, I think you'd find both the woke mob and the nerds simultaneously and together up in arms about that change, because it would both disrespect the original source material and it would be pointlessly race changing. It's not that race is political per se either, which is what a lot of people seem to say, you know, oh, my gender, my sexuality, my race is political when people object to politicization. I don't think that's it either. It's not that that's political, it's that this is being done, or appears to be being done, as some kind of political stunt whenever it happens. You know, it's, hey, look at me, it's free publicity, which we give them, which I'm giving them now, which I hate myself for, but there you go. That's the problem. Not that the character is black or gay or transsexual or whatever, but that it's being done for political reasons, when it shouldn't matter, right? It shouldn't be, hey, look at me. It should just be a thing that happens. Some of the best representation of racial minorities, gender minorities, sexuality minorities, is just where it's there as a kind of matter-of-fact thing and no one really cares or remarks on it or makes it some kind of selling point or something. I just recently finished playing Days Gone, and there's a bisexual and a lesbian in a relationship in that, and it's just there, right? And that, to me, is where we should be aiming for, where we should be trying to get at. But doing these kind of things, this patronizing, box-ticking, pandering exercise is doing harm to the acceptability of these kind of things, and arbitrary changes like this also don't help relations or understanding and are disrespectful to the source material. And when that at least appears to be a one-sided kind of change, a disrespect of white culture or whatever else it might be, even if that's not why people are objecting, I think you can see how that adds fuel to the fire of the whining, broadly inaccurate complaints of the far-right racist demographic, that their culture is being disrespected, that they're being erased and wiped out, and that there is a double standard being employed, which there is. Now, personally, I would rather not empower the far right by doing this sort of thing, and I would much rather if we had the arguments about the issues that people are actually caring about, which is fidelity to the source material, rather than just pointing at someone and shrieking racist the moment they raise an objection. And I'd rather there weren't double standards. Fat chance. Zang.
No more mansplaining, no victim blaming, come BBC. No problematic words that cause panic, no more traumatic facts wreaking havoc. I know of vapid minds going rabid, come BBC.